Laura.
Hi, assalamu alaikum. I think Sonia just wanted to tell me something before we're going live, but now it's too late, but she can send me a message maybe. Hope you're well out there, and it's absolutely a pleasure to be here again. Even it's not on the conference, I still honestly I still need to reflect on over this absolutely amazing conference. We received so many nice feedbacks from you ladies. I really love you all for the sake of Allah, and thanks for your massive support, alhamdulillah. And now we have today also this incredible sister here, Sonia Keats, mashallah. She's absolutely amazing. She is a mindset and mental health coach, mashallah, and she is a mum of absolutely amazing 6 kids, mashallah. She's mind-blowing. She told me last time I asked her, oh yeah, because I've just seen her 2 kids. You've got 2 kids. She said, oh no, I've got 6. I'm like, oh wow, absolutely amazing. And she does so many things. She's absolutely amazing, and she's going to speak about anxiety. So do I lose the control of my teens? This is the question today. She has started a short survey in our group, in our Facebook group, and it was quite interesting, the results. And I think the biggest worry in the survey was that they are thinking maybe my kids are on the wrong ground, or they're losing their Deen. So alhamdulillah, Sonia, you're going to speak with us today in a more informal way. Please, ladies, if you have any questions, just pop them in the comments, and Sonia and I will be going through the comments and trying to share them in the screen as well. Feel free. It's just me, Sonia, and you ladies, because we want to support and help each other here. I pass over to Sonia. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Hey, welcome, Salama. Thank you. When you do a big intro like that, it's like, oh gosh, now what if they're all disappointed? So yeah, I first of all, when you came and asked me, Laura, if oh great, I couldn't see comments. That's what I was asking. Like, can I see comments? Because I like to be really interactive with people. So I think if you could type something in, Laura, that I could see in the comments, that'd be helpful. When you first asked me to speak about anxiety and parenting, if you remember, I said to you, oh my gosh, that's such a huge topic. We need to break it down a little. So where would be best to break it down? Like, should we focus on teens, on toddlers? Because the age groups are so different. And then we decided on teens. Now, what happened was when welcome Salam Zara, Salam from Urdu Adventures. When I started looking at doing this topic around teens, and I put the survey out there, I was like, oh my gosh, there's too much. So I'm going to run through just a few things, and those few things have ended up being like this, so I may cut it down. Okay, what I would love to do is come back and talk a little bit deeper about each topic, not every single one, but a few of them. So let's go through a few, and then what I'd love to hear back is some feedback from you guys of what you'd like to know a little bit more of, and what would some other topics that I haven't been able to share that of as well. So as I said, thank you very much. I'm Sonia Keats. I've changed back to my maiden name. I'm mindset and mental health coach, and I help women to discover the triggers to their anxiety and their low mood, so that they can then discover who they really are and live the life that they really truly would love to live. And teenage years, my eldest is 25. I've got 6 children, mashallah, 25 girl, 19, 18 boys, 13-year-old girl, 6-year-old girl, and inshallah, one's about to turn 5 on Monday. Teenage years, without a doubt, are the hardest emotional time. Physically, babies and toddlers. Mentally, emotionally, it's the teens, right? So I'd love to know. It's so lovely to see everybody. Thank you for comments. Please do be really interactive. If I say something that doesn't, make sense to you, ask a question about it. Please share with me when I ask you questions. Please type in comments. So I'd love to know how old your children are, how many children you have, mashallah, and how old they are in comments. And I will come back and answer everything that I see on the comments later, I promise you. So here to discuss, and I've written my notes down, as you've seen, I've already gone off on tangents. Today I'm here to discuss how to move on from the anxiety that we feel as mothers about our teenagers and our relationship with them. And I'm not going to share specific tips and techniques about how to control our anxiety. What I'm talking about is the natural worry that we have about our children as a mother, not major anxiety. Laura shared, I think, the links to my free group that I've got to help with specifically about techniques and tips to really help shift anxiety. If you've got really struggling anxiety, go over to there. Today, what I'm going to be sharing is what you're going to keep hearing from me over and over and over again, the message that you're going to receive is about tying the camel. Tie the camel, and then the rest of it is up to Allah, Qadr of Allah, okay? So as a parent, we do our best for the sake of Allah, we tie the camel, then we can let go of the anxiety around it because we've done our best, the rest is up to Allah. Does that make sense? You're going to hear that over and over again from me afterwards. So what we're talking about is this natural state of anxiety that we have as a parent. It's anxiety is generally something, the worry about something that hasn't yet happened, and it's a worry about something that may happen in the future, and that future could be like 30 seconds time, right, when we first feel that anxiety. And with teenagers, I mean, I don't know about you, if anyone here has got teenagers, 11, 16, 14, okay, Asma, when you haven't got the 13-year-old there, with teenagers, you never know what's going to happen, right? You just never know. One minute they're angry, next minute they're crying, the next minute they're laughing, next minute they're shutting off and they don't want to speak to anybody. A little bit like us with PMS time, right? That is teenagers. So no wonder we're slightly anxious around them. We never know quite what their response is going to be. Now, worry and anxiety, natural anxiety, is there to protect us and for us to protect our children. And it's just a natural state for us to be in because it's how we have always stayed alive. And you would have heard this from me before, that this, you know, if back in the old days, back in the caveman days, tigers were outside the cave, we have to be a little bit anxious, a bit nervous, a bit worried about coming out of our cave to go and get our food that day. Because if we just wander around carefree, what's going to happen? Eaten. Equally, we don't want to eaten by the tiger, but equally, we don't want to just stay inside the cave. We need to push ourselves a little bit and be a little bit nervous and a bit anxious. We can't just hide ourselves away in the cave. We're going to die of starvation. So what we need to do with our children is worry enough to protect them. So we help ourselves and them to come out of the cave and have a little look round first, make sure they're secure, not just rush out there and let them get eaten by tigers, and equally not block them in that cave where they're just going to not be able to grow. Does that make sense? So yeah, please do ask questions. If I can't answer them live, I promise you I'm going to come back later because I've got a lot to go through and I do want to get through at least most of it with you guys today. I promise you, inshallah, once I get the kids to bed, I will come back and answer those questions for you. So I asked in the poll, thank you so much to all of you guys that answered in the poll. I wanted to know where I could best support you guys and help you most, and I asked you where your main concerns. Number one was you teenagers getting into the wrong crowd or being in the wrong crowd. Number two was leaving the Deen. Number three was their self-esteem. This made me very happy to hear, not that they've got low self-esteem, but happy to hear that the parents really, as mothers, were worried for our children. We wanted our children to have high self-esteem. That to me was like that hit my heart. Number four was free mixing. Five was stress in schools and depression in teens, pornography, bullying on. And I really, really want to come back and talk about those two subjects deeper, depression in teen and pornography, without a doubt. Bullying on and offline, anxieties in teenagers, sex education in teenagers, low achievement at school. I'd love to come back and speak about that. It's probably going to be very different to what most people would expect. Feeling the odd one out as Muslims and wanting them to be a confident Muslim. Mashallah, what a wonderful mother who put that. That was Tasmin Haider for adding that. And use of social media was Tasmin. Eating disorders, teens not expressing themselves, which is Halima, wonderful. And I will be sharing lots that will cover all of this really today, but there's some that I want to go deeper in. Peer pressure, atheism, homosexuality, Fatima Jada, I would really love to be able to come back and speak about that one much deeper as well. Anger management, another one I'd like to speak about. Misinterpreting the Deen, bereavement, again, another one I'd like to speak to. So all of these ideas, not all of them were mine, and thank you to you mums that came back. I was blown away actually by the honesty and the responses that were there, and it was really, really helpful. So I decided to focus mainly on the self-esteem of our children today, and this is because basically this will cover almost all talking about all of it, inshallah, because we're just talking about tying the camel and then trusting Allah, doing what we can do as a responsible mother for the sake of Allah, and the rest is up to Allah, and we can let go of that worry and anxiety because we do our bit, right? So I'm going to focus mainly on the self-esteem with our children, and that came up as number 3 in there. So I'm going to share some of these top worries and some ways that I feel have been beneficial for my children and things that I messed up on. And the experience that I've had and helped other clients to have with their children at different points and bring their relationships together. So what I would really love for you guys to do before we get started on that is I want you to get and ask yourself and be thinking as we share this, as I go through this, I really want you to be thinking for yourself, is your anxiety truly about your teenager? Is your worry and your concern and your stress and your anxiety truly having the best interest of your teenager at heart? Now, this might confuse you a little bit when I first said that. Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. I really, really want you to notice if it is really about your teenager and you're wanting the best for them, or possibly at some points, and there's no judgment here because we are human beings, right? Is your anxiety potentially about the worry about what other people might say, about what our community might say about our teenager? Okay, think about that as we go through this. It's really, really important. You only have to notice this for yourself. Okay, I'm not asking you to share it. If you'd like to share it, do so. I know that I have treated my children differently in public at different points because I'm worried about what other people think. I've stopped doing that, especially with the little ones, you know, telling them off a different way than what I'd have responded at home because of all these looks that people are giving you. No, I'm here for Allah. My job, my responsibility is to please Allah, look after his gift that he gave to me, mashallah, 6 of them, and my relationship with them and my relationship with God. And that's all. That's all he's asked us to do. He's never asked us to please other people, be kind, be all the rest of it, but our relationship is for them. So as we go through these topics, just have a notice that if you're worrying about them leaving the Deen, is it that you're worrying that you won't see them in Jannah, they won't get to where the safe place is, the happy place is, and please Allah? Or are you worried about what other people might say if they see that your son is out with a girlfriend? Where is it that your anxiety is lying? Just ask yourself that. So the reason why I asked you to do this, one, because that's where I believe we should be, is our relationship with Allah. And secondly, because our children will know without a doubt when we come to them that our concern is for them, or is it about other people? And it's major for them that. It's so important they know we're there for them. And that is what more important than anybody else is what they've got to say about them. I remember, and my mother's wonderful, by the way, mashallah. I was raised non-Muslim. My mum was very embarrassed and ashamed of me, and she loves me dearly, like deeply. But I knew she was embarrassed, and so was my dad, about my behaviour. I was very different. And when I knew that they were embarrassed and ashamed of me, I no longer cared. I might as well just shame them. I might as well just be that embarrassment. And I kind of lived up to it even more so. So we've got to be very careful about where we are with our kids. So number one was worrying about our teenagers in the wrong crowd. Okay, I don't think I got all these. Yeah. So the number one was worrying about our teenagers being in the wrong crowd. Okay. So this is the point I was saying, are you worried about what your community says? If they see your child chilling out with, like, I don't know, the Christian crew, or atheist or non-Muslim, or the emos, or whatever other people that they're hanging out with if they're not Muslim, or maybe Muslims that are maybe off the rails, you know, we see that too. Are you worried for your children, or are you worried about what the community says? Because having friendships of somebody that we might not think are the greatest people for our children sometimes actually are. And we can't spread dawah unless we're mixing with people outside of our own religion. So we could go all Islamic on our kids, right? And we could start hammering home the real importance that we know that is really important, that we mix with good company. And the companions, we're told this, mix with good company. We're told to hang out with the people that are good for us, okay? So do you think that our children already know this? Do you think your children already know, your teenagers, and let me know in comments, do you think that they already know they should be chilling out with good company? Kids that are on the right path, from what we would perceive as the right path. Let me know in comments if you think your children already know they should be hanging out with the right people. Yes. Okay, I'll come back to that question. So let's have a little look at why our children may not be hanging around with, yes, Fatima, may not be hanging around with the people that we would consider to be appropriate Again, let me know in comments if you've got any thoughts on that. Why do you think your teenager has or may choose to chill out with people that you wouldn't find or deem appropriate? Yeah, your teenager does use that. They all know what they should be doing, right? We all know what we should be doing. Don't know about you, but I don't go to the gym very often. I know I should be going. It's good for my health. And Islamically, I'm meant to look after myself, but I know don't always go, right? So why do our teenagers do this? Why do they hang out with the wrong, what we consider the wrong people? So the first thing I'd say on that is they might not actually be the wrong crowd. Okay, how can we know this unless we truly know who our children are hanging around with? Okay, do you know your children's friends? The real friends, not the ones they bring home to just show off to mum and dad, but the ones that they really hang out with. And I'm just going to let me know in comments, let me know why they hang around with those. And I'm just going to tell you one brief story about my experience. Okay, I had a son, or have a son, mashallah. Not all the time. My daughter's, she's 15, very mature, but yeah, son 13 doesn't realise yet. Several reasons. Might find some good qualities in them that we may not see. My daughters find the most rogue company, Fatima, mashallah. They might find relief in them. Thank you. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I'm just going to share a little story as we're going to go through this. Okay. So my son was being bullied. All through his life, he'd been bullied. And one day after school, I think he was 15, he and his friends got jumped and they got into some sort of fight and the police were involved. Now, as a mother, I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Now, the friends that he was with at the time, or the friends, it was one boy, but there was two of them that he used to hang around with a lot. I actually thought that these boys weren't very good for him, okay? Because I knew that they had been removed from a very turbulent household where there was some addiction going on, there was some crime going on, and they'd been removed from that and placed with some other carers that were family members, okay? And I met the families, they were wonderful people, they were nice people. I didn't really think, oh my gosh, is that going to be good company for my son, right? Okay. So then this fight happens after school and the police are called. I was mortified. My son never brought those boys home to me. Never brought those boys home to me. Even though I'd have welcomed them, I would have welcomed them. Now, when I spoke to him about the incident and I asked him about this fight, he got really defensive when I started saying to him, I don't think you should be hanging around with these boys. I don't think they're very good company for you. Astaghfirullah for me for judging like that, because that boy, that wonderful mashallah boy had stopped those bullies from hurting my son. And he had taken the fight on his behalf. SubhanAllah. That boy had done nothing but protect my boy for the last 2 years. They weren't troublemakers. The crowd of bullies were, and this boy and his friends were, they were sticking up for my son. How dare I judge like that? Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Now, I asked my son, though, and I may have found this out much earlier, had my son brought his friends home. Might have brought them home to me, but he didn't, okay? He didn't bring these boys home. And I asked him, I said, why? Why have you not brought them home before? Because, he only told me a little bit about them. So it was only from what he had said, okay? So I didn't know those boys. But he wouldn't bring them home. And I used to invite them. I used to say, bring them home. And he wouldn't. So that made me more concerned. I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? They must be really rough. You know what? Why he didn't bring them home is because he was embarrassed of me. Because at that time, I was really, really strict as a Muslim. So there was none of this and none of that. And it's like this and it's like that. So it was very rigid at home. And so he felt embarrassed to bring them home, that he thought that maybe I'd judge them or they would judge me. And that was embarrassing for him. And that's because he had low self-esteem. So get to know their friends. Get to know their friends. So, Nadia, I don't want to make you cry, but it's like, I feel so guilty. May Allah guide the wonderful family, wonderful boys, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. So my older daughter, actually, who's 25, I raised them as non-Muslim for most of their lives. I was very ill down then. she used to bring her friends home all the time, and she'd bring very troubled friends home. There was stuff going on at home. They would come and stay over. I'd look after them, feed them. They could stay as long as they wanted. They were always welcome. She was never embarrassed. And because I'd changed so much and gone to such an extreme, my son felt too embarrassed, and I just didn't know. So I'm not saying you change anything. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying to communicate with your children. Let them feel it's okay to have whatever friend they choose, so you get to know them properly. Okay. Oh, so I'm very careful about that. So just think about when you were younger, you ever went off the rails. Why did you choose the kids that you hung around with? Did you ever go off the rails? Why did you choose your friendships? I'll tell you why I did, and let me know in comments why you did. Main reason was that I had very low self-esteem, which again is in point 3. Now, another reason we worry about them mixing the wrong crowd, I think, is because we're worried about them leaving the Deen, right? Is that why? Give me some love hearts. So that's the reason why you were worried about them hanging around with the wrong crowd, or other reasons. Let me know in comments why else you were worried about them hanging around with the wrong people. I know a lot of you were worried about your teenager leaving Islam, and it might be in the company that they're keeping. So how can we tie the camel and let go of our anxiety about this? How can we let go of our anxiety? We're going to keep remind us about this, because what we've got to remember is that the anxiety is not ours to have. As long as we're doing right for our children, the rest is up to Allah. We've got to trust him and turn to him. And the minute that I really do that, the minute when I do say Bismillah and leave it up to Allah, then I feel so much less stressed, less anxious, yeah? So when we worry about our kids going off the Deen, what we've got to do is show them, not tell them, but show them. So come on, guys, you've got some amazing ideas, I'm sure. How can we show our children that the Deen is beautiful? Let me know in comments. How can we show them what we're doing is wonderful for them? So by praying at home, not making it a chore, that's just what we do. It becomes a habit. Practicing good manners, not judging people they're hanging around with, showing them love and affection, showing respect to our partners. When the children see us showing respect to our partners and respect to them and getting it back, that is when they're going to see that this is part of our Deen. Showing them the strength, encouraging their self-worth and their self-confidence is going to help us to worry them less. So the Deen is about it's about that love and the kindness and the gentleness and the respect for one another. It's not about that hardship and the harshness that sometimes we think that. Of course, yes, show we're happy to be Muslims. Show them we're normal. Show them we're normal human beings. They don't feel that they're different from all of their peers. If kids see Islam as a chore, they're going to be resentful, just the same as we're resentful against chores, right? How many of us hate doing some chores? What chores do you hate doing? Actually, I don't even do the ironing. I was going to say I hate ironing. I don't even do the ironing. It's not, as you can tell, I always buy these hijabs because you don't have to iron them. And we hate doing the chores. So why do we get up and cook good food for the children? Why do we get up at Sari when everyone else is asleep and get making things for people? Why do we get and tidy the house all the time? Unless you love it, which I certainly don't, why do we do these things? Let me know in comments, why do we do these things? I'll tell you why. Humans are motivated to do things for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. One, to move away from pain, or to move towards pleasure. So the cooking might be, well, I'm going to move away from my hunger pains, I'm going to get and eat my damn food. It may be that it's the pleasure of tasting the food. And I often cook because I love nourishing my children. So the reward I get is the pleasure of seeing them eating good food and getting healthy, alhamdulillah. So we're moving away from pain, or we're moving towards pleasure, okay? And this is how I express myself. So teenagers and human beings, okay, they're going to move towards pleasure, or they're going to move away from pain. So if Islam is pain for them all the time, they're going to move away from it. Inshallah, they won't. They will experience pleasure if they come to the Deen. So how can we show them pleasure through Islam? I know on Eid day for my kids, because Christmas used to be such a big fun for us, I make Eid massive. They love Eid. And we get 2 of them, not just one. Not just one Christmas, we get 2 Eids. So it's showing them the pleasure of that. Because we love them. Yes. Dishwashing. Is that what you hate? Jamila, is that what you hate? Is the dishwashing? So why do you do it? Why do you do it? Do you move away from pain, or do you move towards pleasure? So if a teenager understands the rewards they get from Allah, and like truly understands that, and that's probably when they're younger children that we've instilled that in them, We want to remind them, but not with lectures, right? Teenagers, don't know, anyone that's got a teenager, they ever sat and listened to a lecture from you, they won't sit and listen to this. Probably half the adults haven't. They've probably all gone off by now, but they don't listen to these lectures. And I'm not trying to lecture, by the way. So by saying something like, thank you for putting your plate away. I worked really hard to prepare your dinner for that. And I am pretty tired today. And I appreciate that you noticed how hard I work and helped me by doing some of those things. May Allah reward you. Now, why I'd say it in that sort of way is because we're grateful. We're grateful to them. So we're showing our Islamic manners. We're grateful that they have put their plate on the side. And they too will then start to notice little things to be grateful for. Then by saying I work so hard, so thanks for noticing, this is getting them to notice how they can help without moaning. You know, I don't know about you, but sometimes I've had a day, I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody even cares. You've all just left your plates there. Don't you know how hard I've worked? But by turning it around, by saying, oh, Maggie, if you could just put your plate on the side, I'd be so grateful. I'm so tired. I've worked really hard today. How's she going to respond compared to me moaning, right? And she's then going to hear me then saying to them, may Allah reward you when she's done it. So she hears the blessings of Allah. Not only she pleased me, that pleasure has now gone to Allah and she's got reward from it, but I'm not lecturing about it. Does that make sense? So just when we spend the 5 seconds saying a sentence in that sort of way, it's going to help them to feel pleasure. Well, I don't know about you, but if someone notices a little thing that I've done, oh, picks me up, want to do a bit more. I like that. Thanks. Made me feel good. Okay, they're going to move towards that pleasure. Motivate them to feel that pleasure. And this has to override the pain or they are not going to do it. Absolutely not going to do it unless we force them to. And then they're not going to do it from their own heart. And we want them to feel the love for Allah and want them to want to do that, right? So, okay, let me skip over that. Okay, that's... Okay, so number 3, self-esteem. If a child's got really strong self-esteem, they're less likely to go down that path of peer persuasion. I don't know about you, but if you think back to when you were a teenager, when we went off the path, when I went off in different directions to what my parents' values were, it was my low self-esteem. I feared more about what my peers were going to say or do about me rather than my parents. Okay, so I was more concerned about them because my self-esteem was low than what my parents. Now, my sister, funny enough, my sister was more scared of my parents. And that's why she was so good compared to me. So I'm the black sheep. She's very much the white sheep. And that's how it is. And that is how it is still now. Bless her. Mashallah. Now, there was 2 main reasons, really, that I went off the rails. And the first one was the loss of my brother when I was a child. And that's trauma-based. So if your children have gone through any sort of trauma as a child, their self-esteem is much likely to be much lower, or they're going to be more troubled, okay? And 2 is self-esteem. I never quite felt good enough, especially compared to my sister. Please never compare siblings. They've each got their own qualities. It's down to us to notice their qualities and bring that out of them and instill in them what their qualities are so they know it. Doesn't matter they're their brother and sisters academically amazing if they are funny and they are kind. They're 2 different people with different qualities. Allah subhanahu, He made us all different for a reason. So low self-esteem led me to hanging out with the wrong sorts of people all of the time. Now, what happened was the values that my parents instilled in me, like you will be doing for your children through Islam and the manners and the love and the kindness and sincerity in the thoughts of other people, if you instill that enough into them, that will still come out, inshallah. I remember a time when I went down to the village with the wrong crowd and we were chilling out. A few people had music out, okay? So the village that I lived in was a very touristy village. Families come. Now, this really hot day, we weren't causing any trouble, just sitting down, but then they put the music up. Now, I knew there was all families there coming for a quiet day out in the Cotswolds. And my values are to put other people's feelings. Actually, my family taught me slightly wrong because they were saying before your own, as equal as my own is how we should be teaching, I feel. So I told my peer group, who I was quite frightened of, and I would never stick up for myself, and this is why I say we need to give ourselves that respect too. My values were, we can't do that to other people. So I said, turn the music down, and they wouldn't. So I raised my voice and I said, there are families here, turn the music down. It's not fair on them. And they turn the music down because they're embarrassed about all the other people looking at them. So my values came through there. So I promise you, if you are You might have known that was because of them. They didn't know I did that. But if your values are strong enough, they will go through into your children. High school, they started saying, no, we're going to pray because our friends are visiting. I'm going to come back to that to you. Remind me of that question afterwards, please, Laura. Free mixing, okay? I'm going to jump because otherwise I'll go in too deep. So I'm just saying, tie your camel. So instill those values to your children. I promise you that you can let go of the anxiety because the rest of that is up to Allah, okay? So really boost their self-esteem, which I'm going to go on to how we can do that in a minute. Free mixing, talking about the free mixing. Let me know in comments. I'm really curious to know this. What is it about free mixing that concerns us mums here? Please. Look at my hijab. It always goes wonky because it's like a sideways mirror when you do this way. Back to front mirror. Let me know in comments what it is, what your concerns are about free mixing. Why do you worry about your children mixing with members of the opposite sex? Is it because Islamically we're told that we really oughtn't get too close in with free mixing? Or are you worried that maybe they'll find a partner of the opposite sex and have some sort of relationship, or that maybe somebody would take advantage of them? What are your worries? What are your anxieties around that? What are your worries about that? And the reason why I'm so open with everybody is because I feel that we can't move forward unless we connect with other humans and go, it's okay. I can feel this. This is normal. This is okay to have these thoughts, okay? Accidentally press this. Why was this on recommendation? Don't worry, Carrot King. My daughter's very negative towards her cousin because they're very blessed in the worldly sense with latest devices. That's really hard, Nasreen. That's really, really, really hard. And you're doing the best that you can so that she doesn't have that, right? Because the third person is the shaitan. Okay, so what worries you about that third person? What would happen if they're free mixing? What would happen if that third person is the shaitan? So I can't see everybody's names. So I think the main concern about this free mixing with the Deen, I think, and I might be wrong, okay, is that they may end up with a partner of the opposite sex. So would that be fair to say? Or maybe not a partner, but something would happen with a member of the opposite sex. Is that right? Let me know in comments if that's right. So let's just tie a camel, because again, this is all down to self-esteem. Self-esteem. If a girl knows that she can say no and she has every right to say no, and she knows where her boundaries are because she's got high self-esteem, she'll step away when that relationship gets too close. If a boy's got really high self-esteem, he won't be looking for the attention of girls to make him feel good about himself. Do you see? Okay, this is because it's un-Islamic. So is it really because it's un-Islamic? We understand that this is un-Islamic, so what do we worry about? What might happen? Is it that they would get a big sin and we're worried for them about that? Boyfriends, girlfriends. Thank you, Maria. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. They might get into the wrong relationship. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your honesty. And again, this, I really believe it's all down to the self-esteem with them. Okay. So worrying about their kids. So looking at how we can help with our children, because those 4 topics about the anxieties that we have about leaving the Deen, free mixing, being with the wrong group, and the low self-esteem, I believe they are really, really strongly connected, and they're strongly connected with this low self-esteem. Having girls as friends for my son is under an Islamic. So thank you, Yana. So I feel very strongly that this is all about our connection with our children. Okay, and if we become, and these are just some tips and advice that I would share from me to tie our camel so we can let them go in the rest of Allah. I've done multiple parenting courses, and my favorite one, the best one, is the Circle of Security. It's actually a Christian based, but there's no Christian stuff brought into it. It's Christian psychologists that have done this. Circle of Security, check it out if you can do it. It's very, 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 very good. Yeah, but we send them to mixed schools, right, and universities, romance. Okay, so becoming our child's best friend and our companion. And I'm not saying that we don't have firm boundaries. We have a strong relationship saying, you know, I am the parent and you are the child. Becoming their best friend in a different sense. Becoming the best friends that they know they can open up to us about any single thing. And I've always said to my kids, I don't care what you like. I care. I don't care what you're doing, what trouble you've got into, as long as you're honest with me. I need you to be honest with me because I love you. and I'm here to protect you. And if I don't know what's going on, I cannot protect you to the best of my ability. So as long as you're honest with me, please, every step of the way. So I've got firm boundaries, really firm boundaries, and we're clear on that. They also know they can come to me, whatever's going on, whatever is going on. And I lost that for a point because I started being too worried about what other people would say. And that is the God's honest. I would worried about the community, not my relationship with Allah, but what other people are going to say. So teens start to recognize they've got choices in life, right? They're not like kids where we can just tell them what to do and they kind of do it. I don't know about you, but my kids have never just done what they're told anyway. But teens recognize they've got choices. So what we want them to do is choose Islam. We want them to choose Islam and good company over their peers and the decisions that their peers are maybe making. So it's about building up the trust, the respect, the love, and the laughter is essential. I laugh my kids all the time. So as our children grow, we expect more for them, right? Do you expect more from your children as they grow from a toddler up to a teen? Do you expect more from them? So as we expect more from them responsibilities, and let me know if you do expect more, it's fair to also give back some respect in return as they're growing up to be adults, okay? So I respect my little ones, but they can't make decisions on their own. As they're growing older, have firm boundaries, but strengthening the trust in themselves for them to make the right decision helps them feel confident, and they will come to you and ask for guidance if you do that. Respecting your teenagers doesn't mean like giving them the same respect as you would an adult. It's different, okay? It's just being respectful, okay? So the definition of respect is a feeling of deep admiration for someone, and I admire my teenagers. Mashallah, look what they're all dealing with in this day and age. I don't have to deal with that, alhamdulillah. Or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. Or it can be a due regard for the feelings, wishes, and rights of others. Do they have rights? Yes, our teenagers have rights over us, actually. Allah has said, as a parent, we've got our rights and responsibilities. We've got to follow them. If we're not following them, our teenagers may not give us the same rights and responsibilities. We've got our equal, they're not equals. We've got our own roles. Our teenagers have to give us respect and responsibility and rights to us, and we've got rights over our children, and they've got rights over us as well. We've got to show the care. We've got to show the love. Prophet Muhammad's peace be upon him, he showed nothing but love and kindness, generosity and patience with every human being, let alone children and teenagers, right? So where are we going wrong with that? So noticing the abilities and the qualities of your teenager, and I don't mean like massive achievements that they've done really well at school. I'm talking about those little things. Remember I said about putting the dish away? Notice the little qualities, and I tell you, your world will become beautiful, mashallah, when you start noticing the tiny little amazing things that your teenagers have about them that we've been too busy missing because we're too stressed, too angry about what they're not doing for us, how they're misbehaving. If you notice the amazing qualities that each of them have, your world is like magic. Alhamdulillah, honestly, mashallah, not magic in a bad way, magical in the way that we know is what that word means. I was saying it. Okay, so just notice and let me know in comments. Let me know in comments. I'd love to know what qualities do your teenagers have that you love. What are you admiring them for? What are you absolutely in love with them for? Wait, this isn't the teenagers. Is that Talib or Deej? You want me to do the sellotape?
Yep. 2 bits of sellotape and
okay.
we need a string.
Okay, can you give me another few minutes and then I'm going to come, okay? And I'm nearly done. Okay, well, you're going to have to wait until I've done that.
Scissors?
I don't know where they are, so you're going to have to wait.
And one of your toilet things.
Okay. The answers are on there, so let me go quickly. They're letting me know how amazing their children are, Deej.
No, I just need to look in your house.
Okay, you're not gonna find scissors in there. So let me know in the caring and sensitive. What are your qualities? And you get caring and sensitive. So I've got one son that's extremely humorous and very, very caring. They listen to me and they don't answer back. Yanni, you need to be doing this talk, man. How do you do that? Give us some tips, please. So also regarding for their feelings, notice their mood. Get to really know your children because you'll see it slightly off, okay? Are they snappy and irritable? Because if they're angry or annoyed, upset, that feeling often it isn't real anger. There's normally something else going on. Again, think about yourself. When you're feeling angry and upset, what is it? It's often another feeling. There's something else going on for them underneath of that. So noticing them just a little bit down, there might be something else going on. So instead of the normal way of, quite often when we see somebody being snappy and irritable towards us and angry, we get all defensive and, who do you think you are? Maybe, boundaries. They don't speak to us with disrespect. However, it's an opportunity to go and connect with our child, with our teenager, go and ask them what's going on for them. You know, when you were angry with me a little bit earlier and I lost my temper with you, I'm sorry that I lost my temper with you. It really upset me, the way you spoke to me. That really hurt me. They will start apologizing to you.
You made the ginormous present for me.
You'll find out tomorrow. Quick, go off.
I'll
show you. I'll tell you tomorrow. If you're good and don't interrupt me. So noticing that, and then just I say sorry to them, and then they will open up to you, and I just say, what's going on for you? I can see that you're upset or you're stressed. What is it? What is going on for you? And just noticing that will bring them to connect with you on a deeper level. They will see that you're not just angry at them. They'll see that you see them as the human that they are. And it's also teaching them that other people have emotions. And so if they see other people being angry and snappy and irritable at them, they will start to also show that care towards others, their siblings that are having a toddler tantrum. Little Sarah, what's going on? Mum, I think she might be hungry. They'll start being like that, okay? He's always trying to please you, mashallah. Mashallah, may you always be that way. And we need to see their qualities and tell them and that we're proud of them. And that respect goes both ways, okay? So a teenager will rebel if we're pushed too strictly and they feel too trapped. And what I didn't want to do when I embraced Islam was force my kids to go to too much strictness within. It was really hard, really, really hard. I encouraged them to go. So what I did is I asked them how they'd like to learn about Islam. And my older kids, first of all, they were quite happy going to the mosque classes. Later on, they wanted to do it at home. I was happy to do that. I was happy to sit and watch YouTube with them rather than sending them. That's what they felt comfortable with. I just wanted them to love our Deen and love Allah for how they chose to, rather than forcing it. Now, we don't always have those choices, by the way, we'd be busy and everything else, but just getting your children to love you, for you to love and respect them, so they love and respect you, and let them have choices that are going to serve them. Okay, DJ, I'm coming in a minute, Don. So I think a lot of the parents, like I said before, were worrying about what the outsiders think. So rather than what Allah thinks, always have that in your back of their minds when you're having these sorts of conversations with your kids or what they're doing outside is, what am I doing for the sake of Allah? What am I doing for the sake of Allah? Building up your relationship another way is taking a keen interest into what they do. So again, let me know in comments, what do your teenagers love to do? What is it they really enjoy? Atia's got two boys that were aged 14 and 13, different personalities. I don't even know where it is, DJ. I go to please, I'm going to come in 2 minutes. I didn't put it on here. My boys were very, very different. So different. And one of them was very, very kind, very sweet. The other one was very loud, very scooty offies, big and confident, and had very high self-esteem. And so I had to pick out their different qualities and really enhance that for them so they could see. So if you've got one that's very passionate about playing hockey and her mosque class clashes with this, okay, she would have to give up her passion of hockey, right, to go to the mosque. So what I would do, and you may not choose to, I'm just saying what I would do, and I found helpful for my children, is to go and speak to her about this. Ask her, okay, express my love for the child. I love you very much. I can see that you play in hockey. You love it. I can see it makes you really, really happy. It's also really good for your health, and we're told to look after our bodies for the sake of Islam. Mashallah, may Allah reward you for looking after yourself in that way. Now, the trouble we've got is it is clashing with your mosque classes. What do you think we can do so that you can pursue your passion and stay fit for the sake of Allah and still learn your Islam? What do you think we could do? And I tell you, I bet Noor or whoever it is that's loving playing hockey is going to come up with some darn good ideas. She may say the same as mine, like I'd rather study at home. She may say, oh, there's another class on a different day. There's a different team. Maybe I could play for them. Or she may say, I'm going to forget about hockey now for a year. I'm going to focus on my Deen. Okay, we're going to let them see that they too can make really good, positive decisions. What can we do to keep you on the Deen and to that? Okay, go with them. You know, if you're worrying about your child, that, you know, the girls putting on loads of makeup, I know, I see them, they look all very similar, right? All these girls walking around like little doll models. I've seen them, like, is that face real? It's just amazing the artwork they can do with their makeup, mashallah. And I'm glad, because I wouldn't have had time for that. When I was a teenager, I was out on the farm, I was feeding ducks. My 96-year-old friend was the old chap in the village, but they love their makeup, right? So we know that probably they shouldn't be going out there looking like that. So what can we do so they can still follow that? I would be saying, you know, let's have a gurney night at home. Let's get your friends around here. Let's have a makeup party. But we know, and then during that party, not lecturing them. How do you feel about yourself? What makes you feel good? What are your best qualities? Asking them. So they take it away from their parents. Oh, so-and-so, you make me laugh. So-and-so, you're so sweet. Boost their self-esteem so they don't feel they need this stuff on their face, and have the firm boundaries. You're not going out like that, mate. However, you can come and do it at home, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to have a movie night together and do our makeup. And you can do mine, because I don't know how to do it because I'm an old woman. Dads, stay close to your girls. Mums here that aren't a single parent. I'm a single parent. If you've got dads for your children, please get them to stay close to their girls. If the boys, if your sons see the dad praising mum for who she is, not what she does, not what she looks like, who she is, who the mums are, what their qualities are, this allows the guys, the boys, to see what true value is in a woman. And for the girls to know what true value are from a guy that really values them. So when they have this stuff going on, we talked about the pornography, somebody was asking about that, when they are in these free mixing situations, when they see how a true relationship should be, and they aspire to be like that, they want to have the man that dotes on them, that loves them for the sake of Allah, that values them, that holds them in high esteem. They want that. They won't be worried about these guys that just see them for this makeup stuff. And the boys that we are raising, just as important, just if not more so, that they know how to treat a woman, girl with respect. Because I tell you, the word on the street, the porn on if your kid's got a gadget, if your child's got a gadget, they are looking at this stuff. They're hearing it from their friends. It's so, so important to show them what respect is for one another and what true value is there as well. Here you go. I asked my son, I watched a documentary by Ross Kemp. Check Ross Kemp out. I'm going to finish up. I just realised the time. Just a quick one. I watched a documentary about Ross Kemp, and he was talking to girls that were sending photographs, and you know what sort of photographs, on Snapchat. And I asked my son, I said, does this happen? I couldn't believe it. And he said, yeah, it happens all the time then. I was like, what? And he said, oh, the girls love themselves. I said, Estafila, they don't. And I showed in that documentary because it showed the girls devastated. They just felt they had to do it because they weren't valued at home. They weren't valued at school. They weren't appreciated. They didn't feel loved. They had no self-esteem. And that changed my son's thoughts. And when he saw other girls later and he spoke about other girls, he said, I feel really sad for them. There's one girl that had some surgery done, and she's 19, so I feel really sad for her. Why she would feel she had to do that to be happy that she felt she wasn't good enough. That's a 19-year-old boy speaking. And that's because of that education that I gave to him, or, you know, shared with him. Yeah. Do you feel you find your teen judging you? Oh, yeah. Telling you off, always looking at what you say and don't do. Yes, teenagers will do this because they're starting to notice that we pick on them. We start judging them. You do this, you do that, you don't do this, you don't do that. So instead of the telling off, start pushing more of the praise and have the firm boundaries. Definitely. I'll try. I've been looking for the documentary. I cannot find it. I'm going to keep looking. I promise I will find it because it was so good. And I really wanted to watch it again before I came on so I could share it with you. I looked at loads of Ross Kemp last night and I couldn't find it. Hang around with the right people. Good tip. If you've got a family friend or a family member that they really look up to, like I had my uncle Jeff, and I really respected him. And I, like, any bit of positivity he gave to me, I held on to. And I didn't care about my schoolwork from my parents, but when we went to my auntie's and uncle, which was only once or twice a year, he was a headmaster, deputy headmaster. And if he asked me about my schoolwork, oh my gosh, I really wanted to make him proud and said I was getting A's. My parents, I just didn't care. didn't care. So who is it that you're and notice that your child loves? Who does your child come down and sit and chat with when you have people over? I would encourage you to not get them to mentor them, but get them to spend a little bit more time together. Even if it would have to be a phone call or Zoom call, just encourage that relationship a little bit more. Maybe it's on Facebook. I don't know, whatever apps they use nowadays. It isn't Facebook, is it? My teens are like, I'm not on Facebook, man. I don't even think it's Snapchat anymore. I think it's like TikTok or something.
Just one more thing. That's it.
And that's what I keep saying to these poor people that just actually want to get off. So just one more thing. There's one more thing. I will come back and talk about things at a deeper level, going into it for just 20 minutes, half an hour, and really get into that. You'll get the gist of what I'm saying is that tie the camel so that you can let go of the anxiety, okay? So when we're feeling nervous, worried, anxious, please don't feel anxious about what the community is going to say, because if you do right for the sake of Allah, the rest of it is going to be all right, okay? Inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. Oh. So I hope that makes sense. Definitely ask your child opinions. That's what I've asked. If you were aware of problems, address them straight away. When you notice your teenager having problems, address it straight away. Say, open up to you. Yeah, I'm not going to go because this is just too much. So any questions? Let's go and ask for any questions. I hope some of that has been helpful. Give them some responsibilities and tie that
down. We have a lot of questions out there, mashallah. First of all, a huge thanks to the audience, mashallah. We have here also for your confidence with your daughter, mashallah, sweetie. What's your name?
Khadija.
Khadija, mashallah, what a beautiful name. It's a pleasure to have you here live as well with us together. Mashallah, that's absolutely amazing. Right, okay. I'm trying to start off. We have really a lot of, but you mentioned you would love to answer to one specific one. I have to read it out because it's quite a long one here. That was from Atia from Cape Town. So she said, we always pray together. So when they started high school, then started saying, no, we're not going to pray because of friends are visiting. How do we get that back? That was her question.
Is that, do you mean, so they don't want to pray at school?
I think I understand it. They don't praying anymore because the friends are visiting when they are coming, so they don't pray. So that, I think that was...
So the friends are coming over to the house?
Yes.
And they're non-Muslim friends?
That's a good question, Atia. Maybe you would like to answer this question. And meanwhile, we're moving to another one. I can show you one here. This is, I think, quite an interesting one here. How do we get teen siblings to respect each other?
That's a hard one. Okay, so what I did do was, like I said, my boys are very, very different, and they've still got this sibling rivalry. Actually, I took them out individually, and I started to date them. And I was going to talk about dating, okay, and I would have conversations with each of them independently and then also together, and get them doing activities together. Now, I took them away from the other siblings. So teenagers are very different from this age group. So I would get them doing different activities, get board games, great one to do. It's hard, teenage, the respect for one another. I really feel strongly that if they see a lot of respect going on from us towards other people, they'll naturally pick up on that. But because of their peer group and just how teenagers are, they are going to be slightly disrespectful to each other. I really don't think there's much we can do to stop that, apart from by really praising each one of them more for their individual characteristics, so that they start picking up that we're very, very positive and always praising. There's a girl that I met. My son had a girlfriend. He was non-Muslim. My son's non-Muslim. Please make dua for my children. And he had a girlfriend. And when I met the girlfriend, she was so positive. The whole family very, very positive about everybody. And the siblings were very positive to each other. Now, what I noticed was that's because mum and dad were over the top praising of everybody. So when they were out and about, they'd say, wow, look at that kid playing the instrument. They're so amazing. Look at them. They're so courageous. So it was that they were being like that with everybody. So they were picking out and noticing really good positive things in everybody. And so the kids have picked up on that, and it naturally became them. I was too late for that. I was never taught about this positive talk. My older children didn't have that. So I'm making sure I do that more with my younger children. So I would say encouraging each of them individually to big up themselves so they don't have to put someone else down, and have those conversations. And I've got my boys, you know, I've sat down and said to them, how do you think your brother felt when you said that? How do you think he felt? And they will start to open up. And then I'd say, how did it make you feel? And even if they still go away right there, it will sink in. It will sink in. And I'd just say, be patient. A lot of it is just natural, I feel, on that one. Is that helpful?
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is, I think, yeah, again, a natural thing. So, yeah, I mean, just again, I try maybe to work together to say what I'm doing. I say to my kids, oh, we are a team, so we have to stick together. Alhamdulillah. Right. Okay, let's move forward to another one. I know it's quite a challenging one here as well.
I'll just say on that as well. The ones that are disrespectful to each other is that my boys, like I said, the older one was really, really awful to his younger one. But when he was getting bullied at school, remember I was saying he got bullied a lot of the time, his big brother, at one point, he was the one that stopped it as well. So although we think, oh my gosh, they're really awful to each other, I tell you, because I said, you know, we are a family, he's your brother, you look after him, that kicks in when it's necessary, I feel.
That's so true. Yeah, I can 100% agree on that with my sister as well, personally, subhanAllah. Right, I've got here a quite interesting question here as well. I'm going to show this here. Can a teen be an achiever and still have low self-esteem?
Massively. And often what you'll see is with somebody with low self-esteem will constantly be working harder to try and please somebody else to feel better. They feel if I just do this, if I just do that, I'm going to have higher self-esteem. The same as the anorexic. If I just don't eat this, if I don't eat that, I'm going to be slimmer, I'm going to feel better. It is in their head. So I would watch out very much so for a teenager that really pushes themselves too much, and start, if you want advice around it, is start noticing other qualities. Don't big them up when they've achieved something. So what I do with my children when they're young, if one of them comes home and they've done an amazing bit of work, I won't praise the amazing work. I will say something like, wow, that must have taken you a really long time to do. And I can see that those mistakes that you made there, you carried on and did it anyway. So they see the mistake is okay. It is them doing the hard work and putting their all into it that matters. Or if there's a picture and it's looking, you know, one of the little ones will say, oh, that's a rubbish picture. I go, wow, this looks amazing. Tell me about it, and get them to do it. And I say, wow, did that take you a long time? And what did it mean to you when you finished it? So we're not looking at their achievement. We're looking at the other qualities that they've got. And also noticing, like, if they're kind to somebody else, if they're helpful around the house, what is it about their personality, not the hard work? It's what is about them. So what else are they just beautiful with inside of them rather than the external things?
Right. Thank you so much for this, for your answer here. That's very important here, definitely. And here one, it's quite a deep one. I'm going to share this with you. How can we get kids to respect the trust we have in them so that they don't misuse it time and again?
Communication is very key to this, and the honesty. So I say to them, you know, I don't know, my three older ones, mashallah, they've left home now, but one of them in particular was very challenging in this. And I said to him, I'm trusting you to keep your word on this. Okay. I want you to have that freedom, and I'm trusting you're going to do what you say. You're going to be back at this time. You're going to do this, because if you don't, then there will be boundaries. You know, I am giving you that freedom. I'm giving you that respect and you that trust, because you're growing up into a young man now. I'm giving you that. If you stick to that, everything's going to be cool. If the time limit to when you're due home is coming up and you realize actually you're not going to make it, please phone me so I'm not worrying. I don't want to be worried about your whereabouts. I need to know where you are. I want to keep our trust open with them. That's one way. And then just having those very firm boundaries. So saying to them that I love you so much, and letting them know it. They're going to push against it, by the way. but letting them know they're very much loved, and you're doing this out of love for them and for this is my responsibility. That's what I say to them. You know, I'm not your best mate. I love you dearly, and I want you to feel you can come to me anything. I am your mum. I'm not here to give you everything you want. I'm here to do what I feel is right for your safety, because I'm older. I'm old. I've been there and I've done that. And I know you won't know that until you're an adult. And until that time that you're a parent yourself, you trust me because I'm your mum and I'm just here to look after you. And I asked them, why do you think I don't want you staying out till 11 o'clock at night with your friends? Why do you think I'm doing that? Let them answer the question. If they say it, they will feel it, they'll believe it. If I say I don't want you staying out because bad things happen after dark, they go, oh God, mum. If I say to them, why do you think I don't want you staying out there? And they go, oh, because you're mean. Okay, try again. That's not why. Why really, why do you think that I'm asking you not to do that and I'm putting that boundary in? And they will come down to the truth of it. And even if they don't say it to you, they'll know it because you love me, because you know better, because you've had that experience. Whatever it is, it opens up that conversation, and have a very genuinely open conversation about the reasons why you have those boundaries in place. And then you can bring them back on that. And then you can, what I do is I get them to agree on something. So if I say to him, okay, I want you back at 9, and my son would say, oh, I've been staying out till 11. I say, what time do you think would be acceptable? And he says 10. I go, dude, come on. When do you think it's going to be acceptable? And he go, 9:30. Okay, 9:30. I say 9, but 9:30, I trust you. I trust you. Let's see how we go. Let's see if you get home at 9:30. If anything happens, I want you to text me or phone me. Let me know where you are and what's going on. So if I need to come and get you, I can help come and get you. I can hide around the corner in the car so you're not going to be embarrassed. You just need to stay in communication with me. So get them to come up with some of the rules themselves, let them feel that they've got some control. They haven't. You're just offering 2 things at a time, but you know, does that help at all?
Absolutely, mashallah. We have absolutely fabulous feedback also from our audience here. Special thanks also for them. I think the last question for today, mashallah, we are already over an hour, subhanAllah. Time is flying by. No, about you is really, really beneficial. Honestly, I have learned for myself as well a lot here, especially about the judging of the friends of my kids. It's so true, subhanAllah. I can't judge, absolutely not. So just a general one, because we had a couple of questions here. It was in terms of Islamic values, how to teach them, like. One mum was worried about the daughter's not wearing hijab, the other son, he don't want to pray. So what would you give as a final advice here?
It's going to be quite controversial, and a lot of people will totally disagree with me here. I feel, and this is my personal, very humble opinion on this, okay? Please go to a scholar for Islamic advice. I'm talking about my anxiety and what I'm looking for my children. I want them to love Allah. I want them to, firstly and foremostly, to be Muslim. We've got to believe, and we've got to have a relationship with Allah. And if they love Allah, they'll want to do things to please. Some of these things, like praying, you know, it's so important. So again, you can have firm boundaries on some things, yeah, really firm boundaries on some, and let other things go maybe. I have never forced any of mine to pray, and I have not forced any of them to wear hijab as of yet. You know, they are like, they're older. The first 3 were raised non-Muslim as such. One of them embraced Islam, alhamdulillah, the other 2 didn't. So I've never forced any of them to do anything. Now, I don't know if that's right or wrong, okay? I just ask Allah for guidance. I follow what my heart, for the sake of Allah, is telling me. And mine is telling me, do not be too strict. Because when my parents were strict on things, I hid it from them. I know for a fact, by the way, because my kids are so open with me, they tell me about some of the children that go from very strict Muslim households. They have to wear hijab all of the time. They have to pray all of the time. So they're kept and they're covered all the time. They're not allowed out of the house. They go to school, they go to home. They go to school to go to home. At school, they whip off their hijab. They roll up their skirts. The boys are there smoking cigarettes, getting it off their mates. This stuff is happening. They're on the phone, crazy stuff, okay? So I personally would prefer to know exactly what my children are doing, Why are they not praying? Why are they not praying? Have they got disconnect with Allah? They just can't be bothered to do it because it's a chore. It feels like a chore. Because at the moment they're not experiencing pain, because that will happen in the grave, right? They won't experience pain from it yet. They're not experiencing pleasure from it. What's it doing? Making the kids getting up and going to wash first thing in the morning and then going to pray. So how can we make it more pleasurable for them? Ask them. Reward them, maybe reward them, but ask them, what is it that's preventing you from praying? I don't want to lecture you. I just want to understand, because I understand sometimes stuff like, I don't want to get out of bed. Sometimes I want to go to bed early and not stay up late to pray. I understand. So tell me, how can I help you to want to pray more often? Having that line of communication and respect for our children and understanding, until we get fascinated instead of frustrated with our children, or fascinated with our partner rather than frustrated with them, understanding their behavior, get really truly fascinated in why they're not doing this or why they're doing that, why they're with the wrong crowd, why do they not want to pray? Get fascinated in it. That's my biggest advice in all of it. And then we can understand where their problems are. Then we can start to address it, and then we can bring them closer to Allah, inshallah, inshallah, inshallah.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. It was absolutely amazing, Sonia. I have just dropped also all your links. She has an sisters only, ladies only group as well, where she is giving some coaching and some advices also for free. So do check it out as well. I'm going to post it again, and so again to support free coaching. MashaAllah. And
they're shorter, I promise.
MashaAllah. No, it was absolutely fabulous and beneficial as usual. I really highly recommend her to listen what she's doing. And as well, as she said, she's going to we try to collect the questions and do maybe another just short Q&A. We could do that as well live. So if you have any other further questions, just drop them in the comments and we try to go through them again. We could do another Q&A, a short one, about maybe 10-15 minutes, where she could go through them again, inshallah. So thanks for the audience again, mashallah. I see, because we have a lot of people joined us today from around the globe. It's so amazing to see that we're here as a community, supporting each other, and as mums, as parents. Jazakallah khairan. Sonia, it was absolutely a pleasure to have you here. As what can I say? I learned a lot today, mashallah.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. Thanks for inviting me, and thank you for participating as well and being really honest. Jazakallah khairan.
Okay, then to everybody, I wish you a good evening, night, good morning, afternoon, wherever you are right now, and take care.